For a long time, you've carried a version of yourself that should have stayed in the past. That you who doubts, who makes promises but doesn't keep them, who knows an important decision needs to be made but keeps postponing it. This weak part of you got you used to the minimum and made you believe that waiting is safer than acting. But this ends now, not with empty words, but with action. Inside you is a stronger version, one with discipline, determination, and the belief that you deserve more. But it doesn't just appear out of nowhere. Just like crossing a street, you need to build it with each choice. Every single day, leave behind your weak version and commit to yourself. Write in the comments, "Today I choose to be my best version." Make it public and let this be your first real action to eliminate what weakens you and start your transformation. Now let's take the first step. Identify your weak version. We all have two sides within us, one strong and determined, and the other weak and full of excuses. The weak version is the one that always gives in, that finds reasons and convinces you to delay what needs to be done. It whispers that tomorrow will be a better day to start, that you're low on energy right now, that it's not worth the effort at this moment. But that voice is not your truth. It's just the reflection of years of bad habits that keep you stuck in the same place. To change, you first need to recognize this weak side and stop identifying with it. The problem is, many people deceive themselves, saying, "I'm just like this," as if it could never change. But the truth is, you're not your past mistakes or bad habits. You are what you choose to do every day. Think of a misaligned car. If you let go of the wheel, it will always pull to the wrong side. You can pretend everything's fine and keep driving that way, but at some point, you might veer off course. The only solution is to take control and fix what's out of place. Recognizing your weak version is like noticing that misalignment in your life's path. If you keep ignoring it, you'll follow the same patterns. But if you decide to act, you can steer yourself back on track. Procrastination, insecurity, and laziness don't define who you are. They are just habits you learned, and every habit can be changed. Marcus Aurelius said, "The obstacle is the way," meaning what you avoid is exactly what you need to face in order to grow. Your mind works like a muscle. If you don't challenge it, it weakens. But when you take action, even without motivation, you start building a new, stronger, and more disciplined identity. The first step isn't to change everything at once, but to recognize without guilt where you've been holding yourself back. Observe your routine and notice when your weak version takes control. When you delay something important or choose the easy path instead of what truly strengthens you, take note of it, because only when you see your weaknesses can you begin to overcome them. But remember, this isn't a reason to blame yourself. As Epictetus said, an immature person blames others for what happens. A person starting to mature blames themselves, but a mature person blames no one. In other words, blaming others or wallowing in guilt solves nothing. What truly matters is what you do from here on. Use this awareness to take action and improve. After all, you're not stuck in your past. Every day is a new opportunity to choose who you want to be, and that choice can begin now. Step 2. Replace weak habits with strong habits. Your life is the result of the small decisions you make every day. Those habits that seem harmless are the very ones that will shape who you become in the future. If you always choose the easy way, delay tasks, or get distracted by your phone, you might not realize it, but you're building an invisible prison. Each repetition strengthens a pattern, but the good news is, you can change that programming. Weak habits aren't a rule. They're just paths you've repeated so many times that they've become automatic. Think of that friend who promises to sleep early every night but ends up stuck in an endless cycle of videos. First, they watch something light, maybe a funny clip or an interesting fact, but before they know it, they're on to the next, then another, and more. Time passes unnoticed. The next day, they wake up tired, low on energy, with poor productivity, irritated, and unmotivated. Now imagine this same person doing things differently. Instead of getting lost in the feed, they turn off the phone, go to bed earlier, and use the first hour of the day to take care of themselves, reading a book, exercising, or enjoying a calm coffee. At first, it might seem like a small detail, but over time, the change becomes clear. More focus, more energy, and more control over their life. Small daily changes create big transformations. The Bible clearly teaches this principle in the New Testament. In Matthew, "To the one who has, more will be given, but from the one who has not, even what they have will be taken." This passage isn't just about money or possessions. It's about how life works. If you cultivate good habits, you gain more strength and opportunities. If you stick with bad habits, you end up losing even what you already have. This means that if you want something, you need to take action to get it. If you want more energy, replace laziness with movement. If you want more clarity, replace pointless distractions with moments of reflection. If you're looking for growth, replace empty conversations with learning that truly adds value. It's like emptying a glass of dirty water and gradually filling it with something clean. You don't have to change everything all at once. You just need to start by swapping one bad habit for a good one day at a time. The key is to keep changing. There's no point in making the perfect plan if you don't put it into action. What really matters is taking action, even on the tough days, when your mind tries to convince you to give up. Think about it. Laying one brick a day may seem small, but in a year, you'll have built a castle. What matters isn't the rush, but the path you choose to follow. Make conscious choices that strengthen your foundation, and over time, your weaker version will be left behind. Step 3. Decide to change now. Life is happening right now, but many people act as if they have all the time in the world. They put off important changes as if one day, suddenly, they'll wake up different. But the harsh truth is, nothing changes until you decide to change. It's like standing at a bus stop waiting for a bus that's already gone. While you hesitate, days pass, opportunities slip away, and frustration grows. There is no perfect moment to start. The only real time is now. Every time you say, "I'll do it later," you're giving up on the person you could become. Imagine your life as a book, where each choice writes a line of your story. If you keep putting things off, all the pages will be the same. Broken promises and dreams left for later. But you have the power to change that story at any time. Just stop waiting for motivation, stop making excuses, and take the first step. The Stoics taught that the only thing we truly have is the present. The past is gone, and the future hasn't come yet. In other words, postponing is wasting the only time that matters. Now, it's like being thirsty, holding a glass of water, but saying you'll drink it tomorrow. What else do you need to act? More time? More preparation? If that were true, you would have already started. What's missing isn't an ideal situation, but the decision to break free from inertia. Now think about your life a year from now. Do you want to look in the mirror and see someone who took control of their life, or someone stuck in the same cycles? The choice is yours. If you want a different outcome, you need to take control and steer your path. This doesn't mean changing everything at once, but taking the first step that signifies this decision. Small actions lead to big changes. Choose to change today, because every day you wait is one less day to live the life you truly want. Step 4. Overcome your inner critic. Inside you is a voice that weakens you, pointing out your flaws and trying to convince you to give up even before you start. This voice isn't an absolute truth. It's a reflection of the fears and insecurities you've built up over time. If you don't learn to challenge it, it becomes your reality. It's like a harsh judge in your head, always ready to remind you of your mistakes, but never to acknowledge your accomplishments. But here's a fact. You're not obligated to believe everything you think. This negative voice feeds on past experiences, times when you failed or were ignored. But making a mistake doesn't mean you're incapable. It just means you tried. Think of Alexander Graham Bell. Before inventing the telephone, he made many mistakes and faced skepticism from others. He could have listened to the voice inside him saying, "This will never work, you're wasting your time," but he chose to keep going. Every mistake brought him closer to the discovery. If he had let doubt take over, the world would never have heard his invention. The problem isn't making mistakes, but letting the mistake define who you are. You're not your past, you're not your failures, and you're not your insecurities. You are your choices, and every day you have the chance to change your path. The Stoics said it's not what happens to us that affects us, but how we interpret what happens. If you fail and believe it means you're not capable, you're trapping yourself in a mental cage. But if you see every challenge as an opportunity to grow, each obstacle becomes part of your journey. It's like your mind is a radio. If you tune into the wrong frequency, all you'll hear is self-sabotage. But if you choose the right station, you'll start to hear your own strength and determination. The next time that critical voice tries to hold you back, question it. Ask yourself, is this true or just a meaningless fear? Often you'll realize that this voice has no real foundation. It's just repeating old patterns. Transformation happens when you stop accepting these negative thoughts as rules. You can't silence that voice forever, but you can decide not to let it control your life. Face it with action and courage, and with each day, it will lose its power over you. And before moving on, like this video, leave your comment and subscribe to the channel. This way, YouTube understands that our content is valuable and helps more people take control of their lives. Step 5. Learn to say no. Every time you say yes to something unimportant, you're saying no to what truly matters. Many people get stuck in commitments that lead nowhere, just because they're afraid of disappointing others or looking selfish. But here's the truth. If you don't protect your time, no one will do it for you. Imagine your life is like a suitcase. In the beginning, you only carry what's essential: your goals, your projects, and the people who truly matter. But over time, others start throwing things into it. A colleague asks for a favor that isn't your responsibility. A relative wants your attention for a problem you can't fix. An invite to an event you don't even want to attend. Without realizing it, you keep accepting everything, and in the end, your suitcase is so full of other people's baggage that there's no space left for what's really yours. Saying no doesn't mean being indifferent or not caring about others. It simply means being aware of your priorities. Think of your energy as the fuel of a car. If you spend it driving aimlessly, you'll never reach your true destination. Many people complain that they don't have time for their dreams, but if they look closely, they'll see they waste a lot of time on distractions, unnecessary favors, and meaningless conversations. Being selective about who and what you say yes to isn't selfish, it's smart. The Stoics taught us to focus on what's under our control, and your time is one of those things. Marcus Aurelius reflected on the importance of asking, "Is this essential?" If the answer is no, then you don't need to do it. Think about it. How many times have you accepted an invite you didn't want, took on a problem that wasn't yours, or wasted energy on pointless chats? It's not about being cold, but understanding that every choice comes with a cost. If you don't value your time, no one else will. Learn to say no without guilt. This is one of the greatest freedoms you can achieve. Step 6. Break free from mediocrity. Mediocrity doesn't appear all of a sudden. It creeps in slowly, disguised as routine, comfort, and harmless excuses. You get used to doing the bare minimum, avoiding challenges, and repeating the same days without realizing you're snoozing through your own life. It's like a still lake that over time collects dirt at the bottom. The longer you stay stuck, the harder it becomes to see beyond it. But there comes a point when you need to wake up and decide you can't live this way anymore. Have you ever felt like you could be so much more than you are right now, yet for some reason, you stay in the same place? This happens because mediocrity grows when we stay still. Every day you accept less than what you can be reinforces this invisible prison. Imagine a bird born in a cage. After years there, even with the door open, it hesitates to fly. Not because it can't, but because it's gotten used to the limit. You might be living like this, trapped in a pattern that only exists because you never questioned it. The Stoics taught that excellence isn't a gift, but a habit. If you feel stuck in mediocrity, ask yourself, where in my life am I settling? Maybe it's in your job, where you're doing just enough. Maybe it's in your health, where you ignore what needs to change. Maybe it's in your mind, where you repeat the same old thoughts. To break free, you need to face reality and commit to not living on autopilot. The solution isn't waiting for a big moment of inspiration, but acting now. Small changes could be the trigger you need. Try something different today. 5 minutes of exercise, solve a problem you've been avoiding, or make that decision you've been postponing. Don't wait for life to force you to change. Wake up on your own. Mediocrity only exists where there's complacency. The time to break free isn't tomorrow or next week, it's now. Step 7. Build discipline. A lot of people wait to feel motivated to act, but the truth is motivation is weak and unpredictable. It comes and goes, like a light breeze, while discipline is like a solid wall that can withstand any storm. If you rely on the desire to act, you'll never be disciplined. The only way to make real progress is to do what needs to be done, no matter how you feel in the moment. Imagine a worker laying tiles in a house. If he only worked when he felt excited, the project would never finish. But if he lays tiles every day, rain or shine, eventually the house will be completed. Discipline works the same way. Small actions repeated daily build a strong foundation within you. The key isn't in big efforts every now and then, but in staying committed, even when you feel like quitting. The Stoics believed that true power comes from mastering yourself. Marcus Aurelius didn't lead the Roman Empire because he was always motivated, but because he understood that his responsibilities were more important than how he felt in the moment. The same goes for you. If you want to build something strong in your life, you need to act with discipline without waiting for motivation. Replace the question, "Do I feel like it?" with, "Does this need to be done?" and go ahead and do it. The trick is not to overthink. Our minds always try to convince us to delay or find an easier way. But if, in the moment of doubt, you simply take action, get out of bed, put on your shoes, open the book, or start the work, you've already won the biggest battle. Discipline isn't a punishment. It's a gift you give yourself. Marcus Aurelius said that people without discipline don't respect or value themselves because they accept being less than they could be. Choose to love yourself enough to reach your full potential. Step 8. Eliminate distractions. Distraction is a quiet thief that steals your time without you noticing. You start the day with good intentions, but before you know it, you've spent half an hour on your phone, jumping from one video to another or reading pointless comments online. By the time you realize it, the day is over, and nothing that truly mattered has been done. This doesn't happen by accident. Social media and apps are designed to capture your attention and give you the false impression that time isn't passing. If you don't take control, you'll be swept away by the digital wave. The problem with distractions isn't just the time lost, but what they prevent you from building. Imagine your mind as fertile soil. If you spend the day planting bad seeds, useless information, empty entertainment, trivial worries, there's no space left for things that truly strengthen you. The solution isn't just reducing distractions, but replacing them with something useful. Instead of consuming purposeless content, feed your mind with things that help you grow. The Stoics taught us to protect our attention as we protect our most valuable possessions. Epictetus said that true freedom comes not from doing whatever you want, but from knowing where to focus. If you always feel busy but see no progress, maybe the problem isn't a lack of time, but wasted time. Look at your routine and see where you're losing time. How much time do you spend on Instagram, watching random videos, or browsing unnecessary websites? Ask yourself, what's draining my energy without giving me anything useful in return? Identify those thieves and cut them out without hesitation. The best way to beat distractions isn't just by trying to avoid them, but by creating an environment where they lose their power. Turn off notifications, cancel unnecessary emails, tidy up your workspace, and set times for your most important tasks. Set aside moments in your day without your phone. If you want a better life, treat your attention as a precious asset. In the end, the difference between those who achieve great things and those stuck in self-sabotage isn't intelligence or luck, but what they choose to focus on every day. Step 9. Fear only grows if you don't act. Fear will always be nearby. It whispers that you're not ready, that you might fail, that it's better to wait for a safer moment. But it doesn't tell you that the longer you wait, the stronger it gets. Fear grows when you avoid it and shrinks when you face it. It's like a huge shadow when you're standing still, but it shrinks as you walk. The only way to beat it is not by trying to ignore it, but by acting despite it. Many people spend their lives running from challenges for fear of failing, not realizing that the real mistake is never trying. Imagine someone who spends years staring at the sea, but never enters the water because they're afraid of the waves. Fear of the unknown keeps them stuck on the sand, but the only way to learn to swim is by diving in. The first step might give you butterflies, but it's that step that breaks the cycle of paralysis. Nothing changes as long as you only observe. The Stoics taught us that fear is just an idea, not an absolute truth. Seneca said that we suffer more in our imagination than in reality. Often the fear isn't in what can actually happen, but in what our minds create. We create monsters in our heads and end up believing they're real. But when we finally face what we've been avoiding for so long, we realize it was much smaller than we thought. Courage isn't the absence of fear, but the decision to move forward despite it. If there's something you've been putting off, now is the time to act. Don't wait until you feel ready, because that moment will never come. Action turns fear into learning, and learning brings confidence. Take a small step today. Any step. Make that difficult call. Start that project you've been postponing. Share your idea without fearing rejection. Every time you face fear, it loses its power over you. And one day, without realizing it, you'll be bigger than what once paralyzed you. Step 10. Choose your environment and company wisely. You are influenced by the place you live in and the people you surround yourself with, even if you don't realize it. Your habits, ideas, and even the way you see the world are shaped by what's around you. If you spend time with people who lack ambition, who only complain and avoid challenges, sooner or later you'll end up acting the same way. Mediocrity spreads easily, just like excellence. The secret is to carefully choose what and who you let into your life. Imagine you're climbing a mountain. If you're surrounded by determined people who keep going despite the difficulties, you'll also want to keep going. But if you're surrounded by those who give up halfway, you'll soon start questioning if the effort is worth it. The environment you live in can be a springboard for your growth or an anchor that keeps you stuck in the same place. The choice is yours. The Stoics taught that we should carefully select the voices we listen to. Epictetus said that if we want to improve, we should seek out those who challenge and inspire us. Your relationships should reflect your commitment to growth. This doesn't mean cutting ties without reason, but rather giving more importance to the connections that empower you. If you can't find that around you, create it. Read books by people who inspire you. Consume content that helps you grow. Join groups that share your values. You can't change the world overnight, but you can change yourself, and that's enough to change everything. Choose to be around people who make you want to be better, because in the end, the quality of your life will be greatly influenced by the environment you choose to create. Step 11. Discover your true potential. Have you ever stopped to think about how much you might be underestimating yourself? Many people go through life operating far below what they're truly capable of. They accept limits they've never tested, believe in stories others have told about them, and become accustomed to being a lesser version of what they could be. But your true potential is greater than you think. Like a lion that spent too much time in a cage and forgot its own strength. Perhaps you've gotten used to living small, but that doesn't mean that's your true nature. Inside of you are talents, ideas, and strength that may never have been explored, simply because you stayed stuck in what you already know. Imagine an athlete who's always trained at the same level and never tried to go beyond. They may think they've reached their limit until, out of necessity or an unexpected challenge, they realize they can do much more. Your potential is like a muscle that's asleep. It only awakens when you challenge it. But if you continue living in the comfort of what you already know, you'll never discover what you're truly capable of. The Stoics taught that we shouldn't accept our weaknesses as absolute truths. Marcus Aurelius wrote that a person's life is shaped by the thoughts they have. If you believe you can't improve, you won't. If you think you're not capable, you'll never try. But if you start acting like someone who has more to offer the world, soon that will become your reality. Your potential doesn't depend on luck or talent. It depends on your choice. The choice to challenge what you think is your limit and see how far you can go. The first step to unlocking your true potential is to stop doubting it. Start small, break out of autopilot, and challenge yourself in ways you never have before. Do something that demands more from you, something that proves your abilities aren't fixed. What seems impossible today may become easy tomorrow, as long as you allow yourself to grow. As Seneca said, it's not that things are hard that we don't try, it's that we don't try that makes them seem hard. In the end, the biggest mistake you can make isn't failing in your attempts, but never truly trying and spending your life not knowing who you could have been. You don't need permission to be more, to grow, or to change your own story. The only thing separating you from your true potential is believing it doesn't exist. Step 12. Learn to be consistent. How can you keep doing the same thing every day without losing motivation, without letting the quality slip, and without getting distracted by everything happening around you or in your life? The answer is consistency. It's no use giving your best for a few days and then falling back into old habits. True progress happens when you commit to taking one step every day, no matter the circumstances. And this is where many people give up. They start full of energy, but lose their momentum when they don't see quick results. This is where patience comes in. Consistency works like this. At first, it feels like nothing is changing, but every small effort is transforming you. The problem is that many people give up before they see the fruits of what they've planted. They think that if after a month at the gym their body hasn't changed, then it's not worth continuing. If the business isn't making a huge profit right away, then it's not worth the effort. But everything that truly matters takes time to be built. The truth is simple. If you show up every day and do what needs to be done, change will happen. It doesn't matter if progress is slow. What matters is that it never stops. If you want to stand out, be consistent. If you want to grow, be consistent. If you want to change your life, be consistent. In the end, it's not the strength of the first step that makes the difference, but the decision to never stop moving forward. If you've made it this far, comment, "Moving forward," and thank you for watching.